Are you someone who becomes very annoying to be around, or even worse, someone who cries every time they drink? Because if that's what alcohol does to you, I think you know the answer. Hello boys, how are we? For those of you new here, I'm a psychology student trained to be a therapist, so on this channel we talk about well-being, mindset, positivity, mental health and all things like that. So if that sounds of interest, stick around. Today I wanted to talk about a topic that comes up quite a lot, especially in sort of a young man's life, and that is our relationship with alcohol. Humans in general have a very, very strange relationship with alcohol. It varies different from culture to culture and country to country and even friendship group to friendship group, but as a whole, alcohol is the only seriously life-enhancing or dismantling drug that it's weird not to partake in. If your friend came on a night out and said he wasn't smoking or wasn't doing a class A drug or something like that, you wouldn't go, oh come on mate, don't be boring. Whereas with alcohol, it's almost seen as weird if you don't drink, and I have to admit I'm completely in that category. If I met someone who didn't have either a medical reason or was teetotal from being alcoholic and they said, oh no, I just don't drink, I would find that very weird, and honestly I wouldn't understand how they get through life. And when I say get through life, I don't mean use it to physically get through life. What I mean is, especially in Britain, I don't think this is as much in other countries. Like I said, it's very much a cultural thing, but in Britain, so much of socialising is done around drinking. Like pubs are almost like the new village square kind of thing. Reason I've decided to make this video is it's been 6 months since I decided to try and take a real step back from alcohol. I do dry January every year. I do it pretty easily. It's never really that much of a bother. 1, I have no money in January. 2, there's basically no social events. And 3, after Christmas, I am normally very, very ready to not drink again for a while. But what I find interesting, the first week or so is actually normally the most difficult bit. Obviously, that's partially due to physical withdrawals from the drug of alcohol. But also, you'd think something like that you'd miss more as it goes along, so you'd be able to go, oh, I can go a week without it, 2 weeks, and then after the 3rd week you're like, oh, I miss having a pint, or oh, I miss doing this, I miss doing that. And actually for me it's the complete opposite. Normally I sort of get to the 1st of February and I'm like, oh, I might do dry February as well, I could keep going with this kind of thing. And I'll talk a little bit later about why I will never completely give up alcohol, and could, I don't think, unless I got a medical diagnosis, could ever give up alcohol. I have tried a few times and it's never really worked, but I'll talk a little bit about that later. But I decided at the start of this year, 1, obviously I hadn't had a job for a little while since coming back to university, so I'll probably need to cut back on the spending. 2, I'd probably done a little bit too much drinking towards the end of last year, like I said, Christmas and everything like that. And 3, I'd never really actually consciously taken a step back from alcohol for sort of months and months and months. I'd, like I said, dry January every year, and I'd had little periods where just if the social calendar was a bit quiet, I'd take some time off. But I'd never actually consciously said, unless there is a specific, very valid reason, I'm just not going to drink. On a night where I'd maybe just have 1 or 2 to be social, I'd just drink lemonade or just have a water or something like that. And basically I just wanted to see what the effect was, and that was sort of what I wanted to talk about today really. I wouldn't say my findings are anything groundbreaking that haven't probably been said quite a lot of times before, but if I could narrow it down to 2 things, or yeah, 2 things I guess, I'd say I physically feel better, which means sort of more clear-headed, physically better in my body, sort of obviously my sugar and glucose and insulin's all going to be a lot lower if I'm not drinking sort of sugary drinks and everything like that. My quality of sleep's improved and everything like that. And then the second thing would be, I physically feel better as in losing weight and going to the gym. Now if you break this down logically, it's actually really, really obvious, because there are some people, I don't know how these people do it, but there are some people who can go and get out on the lash, have a few pints, get in at midnight, go to bed, wake up at 6 and still drag themselves to the gym. There are some people who do that, fair play. one, I don't know how you do it. Two, your quality of workout and quality of sleep's still gonna be poor anyway. But for me, that's not happening. No matter how tired I am, if I have got a gym session scheduled, I will get up and go. Whereas if I've drunk the night before and it's actual, like, it's not just I'm tired, I maybe didn't sleep well, it's I've still got alcohol in my system and I'm hungover, there's no way I'm going. I don't have the energy, my head's hurting, like complete like brain fog and everything like that. There's no way I'm going to the gym. So one, you're skipping sessions. And another thing, even if the alcohol itself isn't making you put on weight, in terms of you're being very careful and maybe only having gin and slimlines, or you're having vodka sodas or something like that and keeping the calories very low, the reality is you're just going to eat crap when you drink. Like, you're just going to eat worse when you've been drinking, whether that's coming back from the night out and having the standard pizza or kebab or something like that, or the next day when you're on death's door because you've rolled in at 2 a.m. after getting battered. You're not going to wake up, do 6 hours of fasting, go for a walk and make yourself a salad or something like that. That's not going to happen. You're going to wake up and your body is just craving sugar and fat and carbs, and not the good kind either, like you just anything to absorb that alcohol your body's going to be telling you to eat. Where, like I said, if you wake up and even if it's just the fact you're a little bit tired or something like that, it's just going to make it so much easier. You just make your life easier in terms of the physical things that you need to do. On top of that, I'd say productivity, kind of the same thing. Better sleep is basically going to really, really revolutionise your life. If you are getting that sort of 7 or 8 uninterrupted hours every night, that is really, really going to boost you just overall. There is a flip side to a certain extent, and again, I think this is certainly very, very cultural, but I do feel like I've been a lot less social this year, and I do still feel like not seeing people, not seeing my friends as much as I could have. And that may just be a coincidence. It's been an incredibly busy year, sort of with assignments and things like that. But at the same time, I feel like, one, if I had arranged, had a normal sort of social calendar, would it have been as easy to stay off the alcohol? And two, on the flip side, am I missing out on social events because I'm not drinking? Because the reality is, as much as I love seeing my friends and stuff like that, I'm not going to go to the bar or the club or whatever everyone's doing week in, week out and just stand there sober. I don't mind doing it every now and then. I've never minded being the designated driver. But at the same time, am I going to do that all the time? No, probably not, because it's not that fun. And that, just to sort of round that first section off, is sort of why I would never give up. It is a huge part of British culture, and more importantly, I genuinely enjoy having a drink. I have never drunk just to get drunk, ever. I've never had that relationship with alcohol, and I'll maybe do a separate video on sort of my specific relationship with alcohol and how it sort of forms it mirrors other things I've had in my life, where, because it's never been sort of a glaringly obvious problem, I've never been an alcoholic, or I've never been someone who goes on 3-day benders or anything like that. But at the same time, it has been a problem that, had I noticed it earlier, would have helped things. As I said, I have actually before tried to give up drinking completely, but like I said, one, I genuinely enjoy having a drink, I enjoy seeing my mates, and two, there are drinks that I genuinely enjoy having. There are drinks that if they were not alcoholic, I would still have them. Two main ones being Guinness and espresso martinis. Anyone who knows me knows that that's pretty much 50% of my blood content. So in terms of good questions to ask yourself, I'd ask yourself these. One, very, very obvious. How much do you drink? Be really honest with yourself. I don't know how old you are, obviously, watching this, but how much do you drink? Are you drinking an unhealthy amount? If you are in that spot of sort of 18 to 21 at university when it just seems lawless, I mean, telling a uni student to drink less is pretty pointless. If you're below 18, I would certainly say cut as much out as possible, if for nothing else, physical developmental reasons of your brain. There's a lot of, I'm not going to do an Andrew Huberman and actually talk the science of alcohol, but there is a lot of research showing that alcohol can seriously do damage to your development. If you're over 21, you might not have got there yet, but as someone who's 27, you are going to start getting to that stage where you don't have 5, 6, 7 beers and wake up feeling a little bit groggy but get on with your day, all of a sudden a few pints or whatever at night out actually start to wipe out the whole next day. So if you're someone who's at that stage, I think sort of it may be self-explanatory that if you're going out every week and every Sunday or every Saturday or whatever day of the week it's just a complete write-off to you. Are you really at the age where you want to be losing a day a week just for something that you don't have to do to yourself? Secondly, what does alcohol actually do to you? What are you like when you're drunk? That was another reason that I sort of wanted to take a step back from alcohol. I mean, I'm not someone who sort of, like I said, I've never really had like a problem. I don't drink to excess very often, if ever, but I know when I've had a few drinks, I think I'm really funny, and I have said a lot of things in the past that have really offended. I was going to say upset, but that's not. I've really offended people. I'm probably quite lucky I've never been punched in the face, because when I've had a drink, depending on what alcohol it is, I think I'm a comedian, and I'm not. Are you someone who becomes very annoying to be around, or even worse, someone who cries every time they drink? Because if that's what alcohol does to you, I think you know the answer. And finally, have you ever tried taking a break? Have you actually ever tried just going, do you know what, I'm just going to take a month, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, and just go, look, I know this is coming out in June, so summer's maybe a difficult time, but maybe just go, do you know what, from 1st of September until 1st of December, just until Christmas, I'm just not gonna have a drink, and just see how you feel. Look, I'll leave it there. I've probably been chatting for nearly 15 minutes now, so I think I've made my point. Thank you for sticking all the way to the end. I do appreciate you guys who stick around. If you did find any of it interesting, please do consider liking, subscribing. As always, comment any other thoughts you have below. Drop 2 of these every week, so subscribe. I never get the order of this bit right. I know I've said subscribe already. Socials are in the description, so if you want to drop me a message, ask any questions, feel free to go for that, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, take care, lads.